We welcome to the desk Bruce Smith. Your first time here at First Take?
First time.
Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And obviously, we have to ask you right off the bat because we're leading up to the Super Bowl. Who wins?
Wow. I think that I didn't think you were going to put me on the spot, but
On the spot.
so be it. So be it. There are a number of factors that are going to come into play when you're considering the outcome of this particular ball game. Obviously, you have a number one seed on both teams, the number one seed defense, the number one seed offense. The strengths of the Seattle Seahawks is their secondary. Tenacious, aggressive. They make huge plays for the Seattle Seahawks. But we can't discount their running game. Their running game is one that's very formidable. And I think that's going to be one of their biggest assets because it would allow them to dictate the pace of the game, and it will keep Peyton Manning off of the football field. They can't abandon it because they're getting 2 and 3 yards a pop. They have to stay consistent. They have to believe in it and run the ball with conviction. Now, and one of the other key points, they have to be able to pressure Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
With all great quarterbacks, the best thing that you can do to swing the advantage in your favor is to pressure the quarterback. Now, on the flip side of that, Peyton Manning, their biggest assets, and I have to commend John Fox and John Elway for the tremendous job that they have done in assembling this team and building this team around the strengths of Peyton Manning. First and foremost, that offensive line is what makes the Denver Broncos tick. They keep Peyton Manning's uniform clean during the course of a ball game. He's not throwing the ball under duress, and that's what makes this offensive team so powerful and explosive, besides the fact that Peyton Manning is one of the best football players to have ever played in a National Football League.
Let me ask you this question, because I believe that with all of that being said, and I appreciate your comments, I believe it can end up coming down to something as simple as weather. If it's windy and cold and it's raining or snowing, I give the advantage to Seattle. Because Peyton Manning, that ball might flutter a little bit. Against that defense, they can make some things happen, and I think Russell Wilson could end up looking like Kaepernick did in the NFC Championship game in terms of running with the football as opposed to throwing it. If the weather conditions are a bit more ideal, then I think that plays into Denver's hands, and it gives Denver an advantage. Isn't it possible that it can end up being that simple considering how these two teams play football?
It could be that simple, but I have some concerns about that as well, okay. Mainly because last week, this was week 19 or week 20 of the NFL season. This is the playoffs. I had a big concern in the fourth quarter where you had a fumble snap, quarterback center exchange. Those are things that cannot happen at critical times in the playoffs and heading into the Super Bowl. So these are things that have to be cleaned up, because if you make mistakes like that in the biggest game of the season and of your career potentially, it could have a devastating effect on the outcome of the game.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You didn't give us your pick.
I didn't.
Okay, so I'm waiting for it. I'm going back to the original. Is it too early for you? You need to wait. Don't give him an out.
It's somewhat early. My heart's telling me to do one thing. And
what's your heart telling you to do? What's your head telling you?
Well, let me give you one other factor. I have 3 guys from Virginia that are on the Seattle Seahawks. Cam Chancellor, who's a Vitek guy. Yeah. And I'd love to see him perform.
He's big time.
We have Percy Harvin, who's a hometown guy from my hometown in Virginia. And we also have the quarterback, Russell Wilson, who's from Richmond, Virginia. So, it's great to see the state of Virginia represented so well, and these guys have performed extremely well with the exception of Percy, because he's been so hurt.
But what I'm trying to say, Bruce, you got 200 sacks in your career. You're a big boy. You ain't scared of anybody. You're a Hall of Famer. I mean, why you sound scared? Why you sound like if you picked against Seattle, you worried about something? I mean, what's going on?
It's called Peyton Manning.
Oh, okay.
That's what his name is.
All right.
That's what his name. He is. I got to tell you, I played against Peyton Manning twice a year since he came into the league as a rookie, and the maturation process, the grooming of this young man from the player he was when he was a rookie to today has been amazing, and it's utterly phenomenal. what he's been able to accomplish, particularly against the adversity that he had to face last year and this year. And I just think that it's amazing what he's accomplished, barring the fact that rule changes have made it conducive for offenses to score points and touchdowns to be scored, and it gives a disadvantage to the defense. But there still has to be execution that takes place, and nobody does it better than Peyton Manning.
Yours, Skip.
Your thoughts on Richard Sherman?
Richard Sherman, I think he's the best defensive back in the league right now. His emotions sometimes gets in his way, but you want players like that on your team. You have to have that mindset and that aggressiveness to go out and be able to perform at a high level against the best of the best. And this is the cream of the crop right now. When you're entering into the playoffs and you're heading into the Super Bowl, there's no slouches on that field. And he handles himself very well. Whether this was a tactic for a business move or endorsements or what have you, I really don't care. He's in the Super Bowl. Congratulations.